Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us here today for our announcement on the Neighborhood Economic Recovery Fund. I want to briefly go over the run of show and introduce all of our speakers. Today, we will be hearing from Mayor Jenny Durkan. We will then hear from Interim Director of Office of Economic Development, Pamela Banks, followed by SCIDPDA Executive Director Maiko Winkler-Chin, followed by Executive Director of the West Seattle Junction Association, Lora Radford, and finally, Community and Business Development Director of Homesight, Valenta. We'll then do a quick Q&A at the end. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Mayor Durkan.
Thank you so much, Anthony, and thank you to the great panelists and community members we have here today with us who are going to be talking to you, and to the many others out there in Seattle. This has been such a hard 18, almost 19 months now, and at each stage of the way, the city of Seattle has tried to lead the way for the nation, but we couldn't have done it without the hard work and sacrifices of our community. Everything from our community organizations to our small businesses, to the workers. We knew that we had to start building resilience as quickly as we could in an ongoing basis, not just respond to COVID, but be looking at what's happening next and how do we make sure that we can reopen our city and our communities and make them stronger, more equitable, and more resilient. And I'm very excited today that we're taking a really important step along those goals. Even though this has been such a difficult time, we have seen community respond in ways that are so inspiring, frankly, and positive. And we know the virus is not done with us yet, but we are still a city that acts. And today, again, we're able to act. This is why I'm really excited to announce that with our partners at the Office of Economic Development and our BIA and community partners, that there will be $7.5 million in direct investments to support our downtown and community recovery efforts. Thanks to these funds from the American Rescue Plan, we're going to give communities the funding and support they need for this next phase of coming back, building strong, and continuing to support what each community needs. We know that these neighborhood economic recovery investments will benefit small businesses, workers, and the communities where those businesses and workers are located. These funds are available for neighborhood revitalization strategies and to help address neighborhood-specific issues. It might be reduction in foot traffic, business closures and empty storefronts, inequitable access to distribution of resources and technical assistance, or the rapid shift to e-commerce, or even what's happened in the public space, whether there's been deterioration, vandalism, or other things happening in the neighborhood. Each neighborhood and community will have the ability to address what's happening in their neighborhoods and communities to do this. So as a city, we recover together and look forward to the future. Funding for reactivating public spaces and improving neighborhood spaces is essential as we begin to recover. I'm really proud of the continued hard work the Office of Economic Development has provided to support communities and businesses who need it the most. I'm proud of all the city workers across the city who worked through this very unprecedented times to make sure that we could not just provide city services to people, but really respond to crises like we've never seen before in this city. And then to be able to shift each time we had to what the next phase would be and where we wanted to get. And today we are building that new vitality in neighborhoods and communities to build the next stage of recovery. I think it's clear that the COVID crisis and economic impacts of this pandemic have been devastating. And as I said, the virus is not done with us yet. Too many small businesses were forced to close. Too many workers lost their jobs. Too many entrepreneurs and small businesses lost their whole savings. In Seattle, we took bold action to respond to the crisis, both to keep our residents and community safe, but also to support the workers and businesses through this hard time. We've seen, as one of the first cities in the country to experience COVID, that there was no roadmap here, but we had to really work to chart the path, and we did it by passing an eviction moratorium for residential, nonprofit, and small businesses, providing millions of dollars of relief to our small businesses. And we've invested over $10 million in our Small Business Stabilization Fund program, which helped about 1,500 small businesses make it through. We all know we wish we could do more, and there's still too many who have suffered and continue to have challenges. This next round of investments will allow us to address those challenges on almost a micro community basis and address the issues that each community needs as it moves forward to recover from this virus and continue to help and support those people that need it. I am very thankful for the partners we have on the phone today and the other partners across the city, as I've said. I've called for federal funding at large scales as we continue to have infrastructure needs and needs for our businesses, neighborhoods, and to help people experiencing homelessness. This investment will make a huge impact in each of the communities and neighborhood, and most importantly, it will be guided by those communities and neighborhoods themselves. They know where this relief can go the best, and we'll be able to design it in a way that makes most sense for their residents, their businesses, and for the city of Seattle. We will get through this. We will come back stronger and more equitable, and this is a really important step in the way that I'm very excited about. And with that, we'll hear from Pamela Banks, the Director of the Office of Economic Development. Pamela, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Durkan, and I can't thank you enough for supporting small businesses, our workers, and our communities. Today, the Seattle Office of Economic Development is excited to launch the new Neighborhood Economic Recovery Fund. One of the key priorities of our office is to invest in strategies and programs that will help our neighborhoods recover from the impacts of COVID-19 and support others who are doing the work so that our communities can move forward and thrive. To ensure equitable access to COVID-19 recovery resources, OED is launching the $1.2 million Neighborhood Economic Recovery application that allows eligible groups and organizations to apply for funding. Funded by the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA, the goal of the Neighborhood Economic Recovery Fund is to address the negative economic impacts of the pandemic by supporting community-led strategies to reignite the local economy. Community, arts, cultural, and business organizations with ideas on how to activate their neighborhood, increase foot traffic, improve public safety, and build community wealth are encouraged to apply for these funds. Neighborhood Economic Recovery Fund award amounts will range from $10,000 up to $100,000, depending on the project's economic, community, and racial and social equity impacts. Our neighborhood business districts are the heart of our neighborhoods, and are the centers of the community, commerce, and culture. As we all work to equitably revitalize our city, communities, and small businesses, we are excited for the possibilities this investment brings and the solutions our communities will bring to the table. The proposals are due to OED on Thursday, October 7th at 5 p.m., and we will also be hosting informal webinars for interested applications. The very first one will be on Monday, August 30th from noon to 1 p.m. OED will provide applicant support and resources if they need ADA accommodations, translations, interpretations, or have questions. The Office of Economic Development is committed to building an inclusive economy by promoting access to economic opportunities for all of Seattle's diverse communities. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share this news about this new and exciting funding source. And, and I really am excited to have our community partners, and I'd love to introduce Maiko Winkler-Chin, who is the Executive Director of SCIDPDA.
Hi, everyone. As Pamela said, I'm Maiko, and I'm with the Seattle Chinatown International District Preservation and Development Authority, and obviously I work in Chinatown ID, which is a downtown neighborhood. We're in our own lovely corner of downtown. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the Neighborhood Small Business Team, which includes the Chinatown International District Business Improvement Area and the Friends of Little Saigon, along with SCIDPDA. We truly appreciate the partnership with the City of Seattle in helping our neighborhood stay resilient this past, I keep wanting to say the past year, but it's been longer than that. It's past 2 years, maybe. Our role in this relationship is that we're closer to the ground and that we're in contact with community in a way that the City of Seattle can't be. And we look forward to continuing this partnership as we work with the city and trying to make sure that we don't run afoul of the federal funding rules, which get really, really tricky in these types of situations. The funding that the City of Seattle is providing to the Chinatown International District will impact the neighborhood in ways that the neighborhood really, really needs. I know that's a flaky answer, And that's because we're still exploring what that looks like, and we're still listening to the business community as to what we need. And that seems to shift and change as the pandemic shifts and changes, and as we all come out of this recovery. I know it's a flaky answer, but the funding is such that we will shift and change as needed. So we would anticipate using the funds to continue the work we've done. So that would be in three big areas for us: ensuring that community understands the information, rules, regulations, and whatnot coming out around the pandemic and has access to the support programs. Because the information that comes out is often in English, and our small businesses don't necessarily understand English or the systems by which you apply, what all that really means, right? And so we're here to help them figure that out. Assisting businesses feel safe and secure. That could be, I don't know, setting up vaccination boosters clinics coming up, improvements to help make storefronts secure, but still in compliance with historic regulations, and making sure that the neighborhood feels clean and safe to ensure we're looking our best when you come visit, and for our residents who use our public spaces as their living rooms. And the third thing is really listening to businesses to hear what they need in order to recover, whether it's legal assistance, to renegotiate their leases, financial planning, or something else. We look forward to our continued partnership and collaboration with the city as we all work together to navigate an equitable road to recovery for all in our community. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Lora in West Seattle.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate being a part of this discussion today. I'm Lora Radford. I am the Executive Director of the West Seattle Junction Association, and I govern the West Seattle Business Improvement Area, BIA. And when people ask me what that is, I like to tell people that is a small neighborhood in a big city. And I can tell you that our navigation through the pandemic would have been so much worse if we had not had the support of OED, the Office of Economic Development, and the Mayor's Office. If you can imagine, as a director of a neighborhood group, when we received the notification that we had to close down our district, imagine the fear and the uncertainty that just rippled through our neighborhood. And this has been some of the best of times and the worst of times. It's been inspirational to see how our small businesses have pivoted. I've seen people move to online delivery, packaging up their retail goods and hand delivering things to people's doorsteps. And what's been most inspiring is the neighborhood in West Seattle has really shown up for us. I'm sure like other neighborhoods across the entire Seattle region. And people had an option. They had an option of ordering online. They had an option of cooking at home, which a lot of people did. Myself, unfortunately, have learned how to make bread and carbs through this entire pandemic. But what was inspiring was the fact that people decided to support small business. And through that decision, they gave us hope. And that can never be replicated. So now with these funds, with our particular business improvement area, what we get to do is we get to show West Seattle how we can show up for them. There's lots of things that we're going to spend these funds on. Number one is better lighting in our district. We have some old lighting. I feel like it's back from the 50s, I'm not sure. But we have lighting that is all along all of our business district. We're going to pull all of that down, put brand new modern lighting up. We are going to partner with some of our closest nonprofits, Uplift Northwest. We're going to hire a lot of people there, and we're going to go through the district and clean it all up. Every bit of it, every weed, every extra piece of grass, we're going to pull it all up and we're going to make it look beautiful and clean and safe for our community. And the things that we've been afforded to do with these funds is going to go so much further than just financial assistance. It's going to give us hope, and it's going to give us belief that as we move through this pandemic together, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay in West Seattle, with or without the West Seattle Bridge, because that's another challenge for us. And we're going to be okay throughout all of Seattle. We really are. We're going to stick together, and these funds are going to help us achieve things that we could never even dreamed of. And with that, I would like to thank the Office of Economic Development and the Mayor's Office and SDOT as well for all of their work with the West Seattle Bridge. And I'm going to send this over to Sarah.
Thank you. That's a lot to follow. But I do want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm the Director of Community and Business Development, as was stated earlier, for Homesight. Mayor Durkan and Director Green have been tremendous supporters of small business stabilization and COVID recovery from the very beginning. And Homesight, in partnership with the MLK Business Association, has been a grateful recipient of OED and City of Seattle support. We've spent most of 2020 and all of 2021 addressing the evolving needs of the BIPOC small businesses in Southeast Seattle that were impacted by COVID, as all of you shared as well. There are new and emerging issues such as staffing shortages and product and material shortages that are affecting businesses in all sectors of the neighborhood. There are new and emerging issues such as taking these sharp pivots to delivery and online purchases. It's drastically changed how businesses operate, especially regarding staffing, increases to overheads such as to-go boxes, shipping costs. They've all affected how businesses operate. And we want to help stabilize the small businesses in Southeast Seattle, especially those less familiar with e-commerce and unable to withstand the costs of delivery services. We are researching and want to develop a nonprofit delivery app. We think that it's going to be a big process doing the research and development, but there is a pool of delivery drivers that we'd love to tap into and help their bottom line as well, provide more income to them and take less from the struggling small businesses. And it wouldn't just be for the restaurants. We're looking at all areas of delivery. And this all sort of came about a long time ago, less than a week after the shutdown last March of 2020. A group of South End Business District advocates came together to build a directory of the essential businesses that were allowed to be open, defined by the governor. Our collective, seattle.gov, grew the directory into a full-blown online marketplace. We provide technical assistance and digital hardware to help small immigrant and refugee-owned businesses stay in business during this time. The ever-changing restrictions due to COVID. The ESES Marketplace, if you haven't heard of it yet, please check it out, essentialsoutheastseattle.com. We connect customers with local businesses and service providing organizations, making it easier for shoppers and clients to place orders online and find information like business hours and location, which you'll really need to look at to find out what's still open. I'm sure you've all experienced that as well. So a next step in the evolution of Essential Southeast Seattle and a response to the continued growth of delivery needs, Homesight is researching this and developing a nonprofit delivery service app utilizing the experienced and hardworking delivery drivers already waiting for more work. We want to provide more income to them and take less away from the struggling small businesses. But this is just one of several anti-displacement focused stabilization and recovery projects and programs that we're researching and implementing at this time. As you all sort of mentioned, business districts, town centers, whatever you want to call them, they're the heart of the community. They reflect the culture and the traditions of the neighborhoods. Without strong and vibrant commercial cores, neighborhood identity and economies, they suffer, as we've all seen. Without this funding that the mayor has announced, stabilization, recovery, and growth in the city of Seattle will not happen equitably. So we really thank you and appreciate all the efforts you put into getting these funds together. So I guess I will turn it back over to Mayor.
Thanks so much. I think you hear a little bit of the cross section. You know, one of the things in developing this package and what we would do with some of the federal funding, I had the great privilege to finally get out and do community walks throughout the city, from Ballard to Lake City to Columbia City to Rainier Valley. I even snuck into West Seattle, although it wasn't a guided tour, so sorry, Lora. And what I heard in Chinatown district as well. And what I've heard, you know, after doing those walks, whether it was downtown, the waterfront, of those communities, is everybody had challenges, but those challenges were a little different community by community. And businesses and residents really wanted the ability to come together and decide for them what was the priority for the next stage of both resilience and recovery. And I think that you heard today 3 words that have gotten us through this, and that is, you know, innovate, adapt, pivot. We've been doing that throughout, and I will tell you, at the earliest days when things were so dark, for me, it was so inspiring and lifting to see neighborhoods and communities together, like Chinatown ID and Pioneer Square, that had artists come out and do some of the most beautiful art on the plywood. And then that caught hold throughout the city for those boarded up storefronts where businesses had to shut down, to suddenly be something that gave us all an image of hope. So with that, I'll take any questions. But again, I want to thank all of the communities, the workers, the small businesses, every resident of Seattle who has really sacrificed so much to get to where we are. We have, you know, some good news on the horizon. We still are the leading city in terms of vaccinations and doing the right thing, but we also know that the Delta variant has wreaked havoc here and across the nation. So with this, I think, Anthony, do we now go to Q&A?
That's right, Mayor. And for our press who are joining us, I would like to invite you to use the hand raised function if you would like to ask a question. We actually have one question submitted in writing by Amy Radel from KUOW. I think this may be a question for Director Banks, but how can the public track who receives these grants and how they're ultimately used?
Thank you for that question. As we get the information out into the community and we get applications in, we will have on our website, and I have Jacqueline Wula from our communications team. She can correct me, but we will be putting it up on a website who is awarded the funds, and there is an open application process, and they will be it's a community rating panel as well. So we will put out the RFP as applications come in and get accepted. It will be put out on our website as well as on the city website. And Jacqueline, please join in if I didn't cover that properly.
Sounds like you nailed it. Okay, we'll hold on for just one more moment. I'm not seeing any hands raised or any further questions submitted, but we'll give it just another minute. Great. Well, again, seeing no hands raised and seeing no questions submitted in the chat, I will hand it back over to Mayor Durkan for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Anthony. And again, I want to thank everybody who joined me here today, and also thank the media. This has been a long, grueling 19 months. And one of the things that has helped our communities stay resilient, strong, and innovative is for them to be able to get the information about what's happening with COVID, what kinds of funds and relief are available, and how we can have hope moving to the next stage. So it was, for me, really, today was a good day for us to be talking about the next stage as our city continues to deal with the variant, but make ourselves come back stronger and more just. And again, want to thank all the community members that were here today and all the residents and businesses that they represent and those who were not able to be here today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the rest of our speakers. That concludes today's press conference.